Hey y'all, it's time to drink some cheap and shitty liquor. Now today, we are going to be trying two different kinds of Canadian whiskey. Alright, so let's get started right at it. Now our first whiskey is the better of the two. This is Canadian Mist. It is imported. There are some kinds of these I've seen don't say imported on them. I'm not sure if that means it ain't imported or not, but this one says it on there and another bottle didn't, so there's something there. It is a blended Canadian whiskey. Now, before we go any further, oh man, I keep this in the freezer and it was wet and I just slapped water all over my face. So anyway, this one is a blended Canadian whiskey. Now, most Canadian whiskeys are blended, and I feel like that makes Canadian whiskeys much better suited for being cheap and shitty, because it kind of mellows out the flavor when you blend it with others. So this is a blended Canadian whiskey. Almost all Canadian whiskey I've seen is blended, especially down on the lower tiers. But I don't have that much experience going more than, well, this price per bottle, so we'll talk about this. It is a blend known for its mellow character and smooth taste. Canadian whiskey does tend to be a bit mellower, which is good when the ceiling of flavor is, the floor of flavor is really what you're more concerned with, because you don't want to drop below a certain point. You don't be expecting to reach like the heights of ultimate whiskey deliciousness flavors, but when there is a concern that it could be motor oil kind of flavored, this is most welcome. So that's the Canadian Mist. Now the thing about Canadian whiskey is it tends to be aged too. It says right here on the back, this blended Canadian whiskey is at least 36 months old. Now that's 3 years, just right there. It's a bigger number, say 36 months I suppose, so that's nice. The aging, again, it helps kind of mellow out the flavor, and that's nice. So we're going to see what this here tastes like. Alright, got my shot glass right there. Alright, here we go. Blurp, 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 blurp. Alright. Now we're just going to do half a shot of these. Well, that's a little more than half a shot, but not by much. We're going to just do half a shot of these because, to be perfectly honest with you, this is not my first take. I got through this whole thing a little earlier, and then the damn camera fell down and it just didn't work at all. So this will be just enough. Alright, here we go. Flavors of Canadian Mist. You know, there are worse things. There's lots worse things. Ugh. Somewhere in there, it's not terrible. It's got its own distinct flavor to it. It's got a real pronounced burn there on the back end. But again, this sweet tea to the rescue. But yeah, overall, this ain't too bad. I wouldn't sneeze at this. In fact, the reason I got this one, even though it is $10.99 for this bottle, which is a bit extravagant. $9.99 is the ideal price point for about something like this. It was better than garbage, and I'll show you some garbage stuff here in a little bit. But this is pretty cheap and kind of shitty. It's not like super cheap and super shitty. So this is something all right. All right, now our second whiskey today is the Northern Lights. You know it's Canadian because it's got a little leaf right there. This is, and there's a difference. This is a Canadian whiskey with natural flavors. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I'm going to be able to taste the flavors. And it's not the flavors naturally in a whiskey. It's whiskey-ish flavors they added to whatever this tasted like beforehand to give it more of a more of a flavor instead of more of the rubbing alcohol kind of thing you get a lot with cheap whiskeys. It's okay. In terms of like moral depravity, could be worse. This one's bottled by Barton Import. Oh man, that was a good one. Yeah, I could do better. Stay tuned, y'all. Anyway, this here is bottled by Barton Imports from Louisville, Kentucky. Barton, again, probably familiar with them. Talk about Barton a lot when you're talking about cheap whiskeys. Interesting thing about this particular whiskey is, and I didn't know this till I started reading the label, but they love to hear from their customers. You might not be able to read that, but trust me, I ain't going to be lying to you about the neckband of some cheap whiskey. And it points you toward the Sazerac website. Now, I didn't know Sazerac and Barton was together or anything, so I guess maybe they're the same company or something? I don't know. But it is weird that it points you right toward Sazerac when it says it's made by Barton. But anyway, so this is the Northern Lights, and we're going to get a flavor of this. First, it smells like caramel. Straight off. That's not something that goes in the whiskey, is caramel, unless it's a caramel flavor. Alright, here we go. Burp, blurp, 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 blurp. Again, this is the second time I've done this today, so it's, I got a bit more dread with this one. Alright, here we go. Let's get a flavor down here. I appreciate y'all. Alright. Well, that exists. Oh god. Bad. Right off the bat. First flavor profile that hits you is just a wave of negative. It's not pleasant. It's got that kind of real cheap rot gut kind of burn to it, but on top of that, it's got the flavoring, and it does taste like they just added some caramel flavor because it tastes kind of brown, and it kind of probably helped with the color too. But yeah, you can definitely tell the difference between whiskey and stuff like whiskey. It tastes the way it is just because of the way it's made, and the kind that tastes the way it tastes because flavor is being added to it. And this one's definitely got some flavors in it. Alright, well, we've talked about it. Let's do a direct comparison. Look at the slight color, might be a slight color difference there. Not really. Alright, so, bad. Oh, God. Whew. Oh. Oh, God. Here we go. Alright, now, not so bad. Just a second, y'all. Alright, well, as the glorious product of the Great White North, if you use real cold like you use in Canada, then you should probably try some of this stuff if you're going to die. If you like caramel flavoring, it doesn't taste quite like caramel, and sure as hell don't taste like whiskey, maybe go for this. This one was $7.99. It was the cheapest Canadian whiskey that they had at the store. It's not quite a good deal at $7.99. I'd feel much more comfortable paying $7, maybe even $6.50, because this is rough. This is some stuff. Oh god, it's kind of stuff that makes your nose run because it's so just raw, and it's trying not to be, and it's just not succeeding at being anything but an attempt. This stuff was $10.99. Now again, another knock $1 off that'd be much more reasonable price for this stuff, but it's not as bad. If you need like just a simple, easy drinking whiskey, It's not gonna be too expensive. This is good. Thing I like about Canadian Mist mainly is its bigger bottles. Its handle jars, they're not shaped like this, and they're not shaped like regular handles either. They're flat, so you can turn them on their side, and they kind of slide into your freezer in the ice bin area real good. And that tends to be cheaper too. I mean, I usually pay about $15.99 for a handle of this stuff, and it's all right. I mean, it could be a lot worse, and this is certainly fine. So, if you like trying some Canadian Mist, go for it. If not, then don't know why you're bothering to watch this. Anyway, have a good evening, y'all. Have a better evening if you're not drinking this, but if you are, it's still all right too.